Hi everyone, welcome to Quick Chapter 2. What are the functions and roles of government in working for the good of society? But hold up, Quick Chapter series is just meant for a quick revision. It's not meant to replace your teacher's notes, so you still need to refer to your teacher's handouts. Please pay attention in class. This is really just for those instances where you need a quick revision before you enter the exam hall. Now, before we understand the roles of the government and what exactly do they do, we need to just cover the basics first. So let's talk about the three branches of government in Singapore. The first branch is legislature, which consists of the president and members of parliament. They make the law of the country. Second branch is the executive, which consists of the president and the cabinet. So essentially the prime minister and ministers in charge of various ministries. They execute the laws made by the parliament. The third branch is the judiciary, which consists of various judges and law courts. They ensure that laws are justly carried out. So let's take a look at the lawmaking process in Singapore. So it starts with the government wanting to implement law after thorough discussions in a parliament. So they cannot just anyhow decide one day that, oh, I want to make everyone's hair purple and then immediately implement it. It actually goes through a robust series of discussions. After finalizing it, they pass the law to the judiciary, who will then interpret and apply it. And this will be implemented by respective ministries. For example, the legislature decides that they want to implement punishment for drink driving, and this is under the Drunk Driving Road Traffic Act, Chapter 276. If let's say there's someone who drink and drive, so we will call this person the offender. The offender gets caught by the respective ministry that carry out the law. So in this case here, the police, LTA, and even the police force. This offender will be sent to the courts, so this will be the judiciary, who will then mete out the necessary consequences to these people. So now that we've understand the basic understanding of the branches of government, let's take a look at the roles of the government. The roles of the government are these three: maintains law and order, ensures the economic and social well-being of citizens, promotes and protects a country's national interest. So let's take a look at role number 1, maintains law and order. The government preserves safety and security by ensuring that citizens' lives and properties are protected from harmful acts. The most simplest example is having a police force who will catch criminals and then carry out the necessary consequences. They ensure justice so that people can expect equal treatment and fair outcomes. So for example, we have the courts and the law enforcement agencies that investigate crimes, and then they ensure that justice is served in every case. So the idea is that everyone, including the government in itself, is equal before law. There shouldn't be any form of biasness or favoritism. If, no matter who you are, if you commit a crime, you go against the law, you have to face the consequences. Now, the reason why this is the role of the government is because government has the resources and power to deter unlawful behavior and ensure order within the society. But do you know that this is also considered maintaining law and order? So the whole idea of seeing big groups of cyclists just using the road, cycling the roads in big groups in the middle of nowhere, this is also considered maintaining law and order. But why? So do you know that the government actually sets heavy fines up to $10,000 and possible jail time up to 6 months to stop dangerous cycling behavior? So why is this considered maintaining law and order? I would like to think about the repercussions if this continues. If it's so common to see people just cycling in the middle of nowhere with no concern of the surrounding traffic, of other people's safety. People who break cycling rules more than once can get even bigger punishment, showing that repeated bad behavior has serious consequences. These people will then attend safety courses, showing that the government not only punishes but also educates people to prevent future offences. So this shows that the government is very serious and determined on maintaining order and safety for everyone, drivers, passengers on shared paths and roads. Because imagine the repercussions if everyone drives irresponsibly. This is also considered under maintaining order in Singapore. Rule number 2, ensuring the economic and social well-being of citizens. So the government does this by ensuring that everyone's basic needs for food, water, and shelter are met, so that people have the ability to pursue their goals and enjoy a satisfactory quality of life. Because it all goes to the hierarchy of needs. If your basic needs like feeling safe, having a place to call home, having a safe place to sleep, having food, if basic needs are not met, then you will not be able to pursue for greatness, work hard in school, work hard at work, have a better quality of life. So this is why things like education, healthcare, housing, transportation, they are usually provided for free or highly subsidized so that all citizens will have access to them. So this is an example of how government ensures social well-being. And a very simple example that you can use when you are writing SQ question 7 is the fact that in Singapore, we have polyclinics. So polyclinics is essentially the government's way of ensuring that everyone will have basic medical services like doctor consultations, vaccinations at a subsidized rate. They typically cost less than private clinics because of government subsidies, and this is especially for Singapore citizens and permanent residents. At the same time, they are also integrated with the national healthcare system. So if, let's say, touch wood, your situation is actually rather serious, then it's much more easier for you to get an easy referral to the hospital if, let's say, you need more specialized care. So it's a more direct way of ensuring that your needs are met if, let's say, your case is rather severe. Okay, how about economic well-being? Just now was social well-being, now is economic well-being, where we will take a look at skills future. So how does skills future fall under ensuring economic well-being? It's because skills future actually allows you to have lifelong learning, so you can work to upgrade yourself. Employers can send you for worker training. You actually get credits that will enable you to learn new skills and make yourself stay up to date in in an ever-changing world, in a job market that constantly requires you to upgrade yourself. So if you are given platform to upgrade yourself, then this creates condition for growth and opportunity for all Singaporeans. You can stay relevant in the job market, you can develop skills that are in demand in the economy. So you will not lose your job. If, let's say, you are unfortunately retrenched, you will not stay retrenched for a long period of time. You will be able to find a new job in a new industry that is in demand. Rule number 3, promotes and protects a country's national interests. The government plays a very important role in promoting and protecting the country's national interests because that is essentially their job. We vote for the government because essentially we want them to take care of us, of our well-being, of our welfare, of the country's safety. So what is national interest? National interest refers to what is necessary to ensure security and well-being, and this will influence a country's foreign policy. So in Singapore, these are examples of national interest. So things like GDP. How does the government ensure that the country will continue to grow economically? So essentially, how do we ensure that our country will always have money, right, to pay for infrastructure, to take care of its people? The government will need to ensure that there's food and water security. How do we ensure that the people in Singapore will not starve? Will continuously have access to clean water supply. Also, how do we ensure safety? How do we protect ourselves from threats, from any potential aggression from other countries? So these are all national interests. So one method is through diplomacy. Diplomacy is the practice of obtaining agreement between countries to cooperate in order to produce results that align with their interests. In very simple terms, diplomacy is how Singapore, for example, try to be besties with other countries, right? So we conduct diplomacy to promote common interests and resolve conflicting interests in a peaceful manner. In a very simple term, diplomacy is how do I ensure that I'm besties with countries around me? How do I ensure that other countries will not have beef with me? If they're unhappy with me, how do I kind of smoothen things out to make sure that people don't want to fight with me? So an example is how Singapore political leaders always meet with leaders of other countries to exchange views, find ways to promote mutual interests in areas such as trade and security. Essentially, our leaders will try to meet leaders of other countries, for example, ASEAN, Southeast Asian states, try to establish friendship with them, try to work together, find ways to cooperate and be friends with one another, help each other out. So for example, it's actually RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which is essentially a very big or huge free trade agreement with all 10 ASEAN countries plus China, Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand. So the idea is that through this partnership, it is supposed to help trade more easily because you are reducing or removing tariffs. So this makes all these sales procedures much more simpler. You set common rules for trade in goods and services, which means that all member countries will have lower prices for consumers due to reduced trade barriers. So you benefit, you increase sale, you increase profit. If you're a consumer in a country, you actually have access to more supply of goods. If you're a business owner, there's more business opportunity because if I am a businessman in Singapore, I can actually come up with a business deal with a businessman from Australia, for example. So this allows easier movement of goods between countries and access to larger markets for business, which means that as a businessman, I can earn more profit because now I can sell my goods in more countries. Singapore can also earn more profits because now I can have more export. More goods can enter Singapore also because of this trade agreement. So RCEP is an example of diplomacy. At the same time, Singapore also practices deterrence, which is measures that a country take to discourage potential aggressors by making it costly for them to attack. So a country practices deterrence to protect its security and ensure that it's safe from attacks by another country. So Singapore, for example, we deter potential aggressors by making sure that we build our air, land and sea capability and defenses. So for example, Singapore Armed Forces use advanced technology and artificial intelligence to build its capabilities. We also have national service, which ensures that the people in our country will know how to defend ourselves if, let's say, touch wood, we are under attack. So let's just do a very quick recap on the 3 roles of government. First role of government is to maintain law and order. Second role is to ensure the economic and social well-being of citizens. Third is to promote and protect a country's national interests. So this is essentially what chapter 2 is about.